There is a specific number of XLM that held through the institutional deployment window that is now open and closing in the first half of 2027, produces an outcome that changes not just your financial situation, but your family's financial trajectory permanently. So this video is going to tell you that number, and then it is going to show you the math behind it with complete honesty. Not the hopium version. The version where the market cap math is visible, the conditions are stated clearly, and the calculation stands up to scrutiny. Let's start with the current reality. So every number that follows is grounded in fact. XLM is trading at 16 cents. The circulating supply is 34.49 billion XLM. The current market cap is $5.48 billion. The all-time high was 87 cents. Stellar is ranked number 20 on CoinGecko today. Those are the starting numbers. And every family-changing calculation in this video starts from 16 cents and works forward from the confirmed institutional pipeline, not backward from a price someone hoped for. Now, the number 100,000 XLM, that is the exact amount this video is built around. And here is why 100,000 specifically. At 16 cents, 100,000 XLM costs $16,000. That is a real number, not a theoretical number, not an aspirational number. $16,000 is a number that a significant percentage of people who are motivated enough to watch a 4000 word video about XLM can realistically accumulate over months through disciplined saving and dollar cost averaging. And here is what 100,000 XLM produces at specific price targets with the market cap math shown clearly. Conservative target, 50 cents. Market cap, approximately $17.2 billion. The conditions that produce 50 cents are the DTCC first, half 2027. Stellar deployment going live on schedule with documented first quarter institutional transaction volume. Stellar stablecoin payment volume maintaining its growth trajectory through Q4 2026, and the Aeon 20 million merchant network expansion being publicly documented in at least one additional region beyond Southeast Asia. At 50 cents, 100,000 XLM is worth $50,000. From $16,000, $34,000 in profit. That is not generational wealth, but it is a down payment on a house. It is a fully funded emergency fund plus college savings. It is the kind of return that changes a family's next 3 years. Base case target, $2 market cap, approximately $68.9 billion. Getting to $2 requires XLM to approximately match XRP's current market cap of $63 billion. The conditions are the DTCC first half 2027 deployment generating visible institutional transaction data in multiple quarters of public network reporting. A second major sovereign fund following Amundi onto Stellar. And Stellar's quarterly stablecoin payment volume crossing $50 billion. At $2, 100,000 XLM is worth $200,000. From $16,000, $184,000 in profit. That is the number where a family's financial trajectory changes meaningfully. A mortgage paid off, a business funded, a college education fully covered. The kind of outcome that removes the financial pressure that most families carry for decades. Bull case target, $5 market cap, approximately $172 billion. Getting to $5 requires XLM to exceed XRP's current market cap. The conditions are XLM's quarterly stablecoin payment volume crossing $100 billion, the DTCC deployment serving as the settlement layer for a documented percentage of U.S. securities tokenization, and Stellar maintaining its position as a confirmed production-grade public blockchain in both the DTCC ecosystem and the broader institutional RWA market. At $5, 100,000 XLM is worth $500,000 from $16,000, $484,000 in profit. That is the number where your family's grandchildren will know your name. A $500,000 outcome from $16,000 invested is not a fantasy. It is the math that falls out of applying real institutional market cap growth to a real position. Size. Now, the honest question that the number immediately raises is the 100,000 XLM target achievable for a retail investor who is not already wealthy? At 16 cents, accumulating 100,000 XLM requires $16,000 of total investment. Through dollar cost averaging over 12 months, that is approximately $1,333 per month. Over 24 months, that is $667 per month. Over 36 months, that is $444 per month. $444 per month over 3 years reaches 100,000 XLM at current prices. That is a realistic monthly commitment for a significant percentage of working adults who are serious about building a position in the institutional deployment window that is currently open. And here is the specific thing about dollar cost averaging into XLM right now that the mathematical frame reveals. If XLM's price increases from 16 cents toward the conservative target of 50 cents during the accumulation period, the later months of the DCA purchases fewer units at higher prices. That is an acceptable outcome because the earlier months at lower prices established a large base position at the best available prices. If XLM's price stays at 16 cents or moves lower during the accumulation period, the monthly contribution buys more XLM per dollar, building the 100,000 unit target at a lower average cost per token. In either scenario, the dollar cost averaging mechanism works in the holder's favor compared to waiting for perfect timing and deploying everything at once. Now, the institutional pipeline that determines whether the price targets are achievable, because 100,000 XLM is only a family-changing number if the price actually reaches the targets the math requires. The DTCC, which oversees over $100 trillion in U.S. capital markets, plans to integrate its tokenization platform with Stellar. The plan launch is targeted for 2027, potentially involving tokenized Russell 1000 securities and U.S. Treasuries. Tokenized Russell 1000 securities, U.S. Treasuries, on Stellar. The institution that clears most U.S. securities trades has confirmed Stellar as the first public blockchain in its tokenization strategy. That confirmation is documented, that timeline is published, and the market cap math on what the DTCC integrated Stellar network should be worth compared to the current $5.48 billion is the most important number in this entire video. For context, Intercontinental Exchange, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, has a market cap of approximately $80 billion. ICE is a securities exchange and clearing infrastructure provider. It is not a blockchain. It does not process global remittances. It does not serve the 1.4 billion unbanked people that Stellar's financial inclusion mission targets. It processes securities transactions, which is exactly what the DTCC Stellar integration is designed to do for tokenized securities. Stellar, the conservative 50 cents, would have a market cap of approximately $17 billion. That's 21% of ICE's market cap for a network that the DTCC is deploying for tokenized security settlement, that the Aeon network has deployed across 20 million merchant locations, that processes $5.5 billion in stablecoin payment volume in a single quarter growing at 72% year over year, and that the World Bank has formally named as a cross-border payment solution. In its official research, 21% of ICE's market cap at the conservative target. That is the honest valuation framework. Not that Stellar becomes more than ICE, that it reaches 21% of ICE's value as a network that is formally integrated into the same securities infrastructure that ICE occupies. Now the DTCC timeline specifically, because the precise schedule determines when the price targets materialize. The planned launch is targeted for 2027, potentially involving tokenized Russell 1000 securities and U.S. Treasuries. First half 2027. That is the current confirmed timeline from today in August 2026. First half 2027 is approximately 6 to 10 months away. That window is the critical accumulation period. The institutional announcement has been made. The production deployment has not yet gone live. The price at 16 cents reflects the announcement, but not the production reality. The production reality arrives in the first half of 2027. People who hold 100,000 XLM into first half 2027 and through the first quarter of production volume data are the ones the math puts in position for the conservative target. People who sell before the DTCC deployment goes live take their pre-deployment price. People who hold through the first quarter of documented institutional transaction data on Stellar rails position themselves for the base case. That is the window, August 2026 to approximately Q2 2027 for the deployment, Q3 to Q4 2027, for the first quarter of publicly documented institutional transaction data. That 8-14-month window is the period within which 100,000 XLM at 16 cents can become either $50,000 at the conservative target or $200,000 at the base case. Now, the honest risk picture, because any video that presents price targets without the risks is not providing useful information. The DTCC first half 2027 timeline is confirmed but not guaranteed to execute without delay. If the deployment is pushed to second half 2027 or 2028 for technical or regulatory reasons, the price targets shift in timeline rather than in magnitude. A delay does not eliminate the thesis. It extends the holding period about 21.25 billion XLM, 42.5% of total supply, remains out of circulation with no fixed distribution schedule. No fixed distribution schedule is a real supply risk. If the Stellar Development Foundation distributes a significant portion of the undistributed $21 billion into circulation during the institutional deployment period, that supply increase creates downward price pressure that works against the market cap targets. Monitoring the SDF's distribution announcements is the specific due diligence that XLM holders need to maintain throughout the accumulation and holding period. And the conversion mechanism risk. Each transaction and account on Stellar requires XLM. So scaling institutional activity could incrementally increase token utility and demand. Incrementally, that word is honest. The fee mechanism connection between institutional settlement volume and XLM price is real, but modest at current fee levels. The narrative-driven repricing from DTCC integration is the more powerful near-term price mechanism, and narrative-driven repricing is not as predictable or as sustained as fee-driven structural demand. But here is the honest conclusion from all of that. The risks are real, the timeline has uncertainty, The supply dynamics require monitoring, and none of those facts change the fundamental calculation. 100,000 XLM at $16,000. On the network that the DTCC chose for the tokenization of Russell 1000 stocks, major ETFs, and U.S. Treasuries. On a network that processed $5.5 billion in stablecoin payment volume in a single quarter, growing at 72% year over year. On the network that the World Bank named in its cross-border payments research. On the network where MoneyGram, Figure, and Range are Tier 1 validators. On the network where Franklin Templeton, PUSD, Amundi, and US Bank all have live production deployments. $16,000 for the full family changing position at 50 cents, $50,000 at $2, $200,000 at $5, $500,000. The math is real. The institutional pipeline is confirmed, the accumulation window is currently open, and the number is 100,000 XLM. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing here constitutes financial, legal, or investment advice. Always do your own research and consult qualified professionals before making any financial decisions. If this video gave you the specific number, the exact market cap math at each price target, and the honest risk picture that together form a complete framework for evaluating this position, hit the like button right now. That signal pushes this to XLM holders who have been accumulating without knowing whether their position size is large enough to produce the outcome they're building toward. Subscribe, because when the DTCC first half 2027 stellar deployment goes live and the first quarter of production volume data becomes publicly available, this channel will update the market cap math with real numbers and show you exactly what the 100,000 XLM position is worth. At that moment, and drop a comment with this: how many XLM are you currently holding, and how far are you from the 100,000 unit family changing threshold? That conversation tells me exactly where this community's accumulation level actually is right now. Share this with the family member in your life who asks why you hold XLM. Show them the math, then show them the number. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to join my free Telegram community with the link on my channel, where I post my daily crypto experience and arbitrage opportunities you can't get anywhere else. This is XRP Hobart signing off.